A very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. Welcome to News Tonight, this Thursday, the 30th of March, 2023. Let's start with a look at the top stories. Thank you for joining in. President Museveni lauds the NRM leaders for their unwavering support to the party. Nabanja allays Uganda's fears over Kenyan demonstrations. Speaker Anita Mong tasks the Education and Sports Ministry to account for an expenditure in Egypt, while UBC URA meet to bridge tax gaps. Yes, it's UBC News Tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's me, Micheal Jordan Lukomwa, with Elizabeth Nakakuni, our sign language interpreter, and thank you so much once again for joining in. The national chairman of the National Resistance Movement, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has thanked the NRM leaders for Kampala for their unwavering support to the party and urged them to support programs tailored at lifting people out of poverty. President Museveni was addressing Kampala NRM village chairpersons who gathered at Kololo Independence Grounds to discuss matters of national development as well as those affecting wananchi in their areas. We have details to the story.
While commenting on some of the concerns raised by leaders in the memorandum presented on their behalf by the NRM chairperson of Kawempe Division, Mayombe Daniel Chigozi, President Museveni urged all leaders to understand the issue of public service and socio-economic transformation.
To understand the issue of public service versus socio-economic transformation of the population.
The national chairperson first told leaders of the type of governance that existed during the colonial days that bred massive corruption through their bureaucracy, strengthening their resolve during the people's protracted struggle not to allow the wananchi themselves to elect their leaders.
You could see government veterinary drugs being sold.
Ngolaba eddagala ery'ebisolo ate nga litundibwa.
And the same with the drugs of humanity from the health centers.
Kyekimu n'eddagala ery'abantu okuvanga mu malwaliro.
Then I taught 2 times. During that time I taught in 1965, then 1967, after my O-level, A-level, I taught in schools. And you could see the misbehavior of the teachers towards especially the girl children. That's why, therefore, we proposed and fortunately NRM accepted.
The president pointed out that any challenge emerged of wages as the number of public servants increased and yet funds were needed for the construction of roads, electricity, health facilities and other social services. He said in the coming budget, the government will need over shillings 50 trillion, and out of that, shillings 8 trillion will be for wages. The president said that is the reason why the concept of leaders' circles was mooted and deemed more appropriate and workable, because the government will be putting in some money for the current and past leaders to use it, and it will act as their bank that will grow as more funds will be sent to the circles annually.
Village bank will grow.
N'olwekyo banka yaffe oba sako yaffe ey'ekitundu ekyo ekula.
Now, this was for the village, for the village parishes.
Kino kyali kya muluka.
Emiruka y'omu byalo.
Emiruka egy'omu byalo.
On this socio-economic transformation, President Museveni asked leaders to encourage wananchi to embrace the parish development model. For those in rural areas and the urbanities can use the peri-urban model, as well as take advantage of the increased production that will accrue from the PDM to buy and sell farmers' produce, process or even get involved in services.
Now, your point about the Miruka of Kampala,
ensonga yamwe ku miruka gy'e Kampala,
needing more money is very correct.
Nga mwetaaga ssente eziwerako ntuufu nnyo.
We are going to study that. There's no problem.
President Museveni also welcomed the idea of providing wananchi with working spaces in the markets as well as the artisan groups. He added that the same will be done for the skilling centers that will be expanded.
But the principle is the same.
Naye enkola yemu oba ekibalo kyekimu.
Weewule ssente ku magoba amatono ozikozese ozikomyewo omulala naye azikozese.
On education, the president said that more primary and secondary seed schools will be availed, but insisted on affordable education through the schools as boarding ones take more money on things that don't have any bearing to education like feeding and sleeping, among others. On the rigging of votes, President Museveni promised to discuss the issue when he meets leaders from all Kampala divisions. On having a clean city, the president said garbage bins should be placed at every 200 meters within Kampala city. The national chairman of the NRM party, President Museveni, pledged to meet all NRM leaders from all divisions separately to further discuss their concerns.
Is the issue of getting all our population out of poverty.
Yensonga y'okujja abantu baffe bonna mu bwavu.
Leader or no leader.
Oba oli mukulembeze oba toli mukulembeze.
That's why all this time we have been doing all these different experiments.
Yensonga lwaki tubadde tugezesa ebbanga lino lyonna ebintu ebyenjawulo. Programs ez'enjawulo. Ng'entandikwa. NADS.
Operational Wealth Creation.
The Secretary General of NRM, Honorable Richard Todong, expressed his gratitude for the support NRM supporters have for their national chairman, President Museveni. He therefore urged the chairman, when time comes, to offer himself to be re-elected for the presidency, as his age more than qualifies him for the position.
I just pray that these many requests that the leaders of the party are putting before you to offer yourself in 2026, kindly take it seriously. We know at the right time the party will process this, but the demands we have as a secretariat from your supporters around the country is overwhelming.
The Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minsa Kabanda, appreciated government programs of Emyoga and the PDM, as well as the markets that have been provided to hawkers. Other leaders at the meeting included the Vice Secretary General of NRM, Honorable Rose Namayanja, the Director for Mobilization at the NRM Secretariat, Honorable Rosemary Seninde, as well as senior officials from the NRM Secretariat, Shaidat Nasaku. UBC News.
The NRM Secretariat has scheduled a comprehensive program with the purpose to engage and to carry out mobilization of people through identifying, discussing, and resolving issues related to service delivery.
In a caucus meeting of the NRM members of parliament held today at the office of the Prime Minister Conference Hall in Kampala, the NRM Secretary General, who was represented by Rosemary Seninde, said mobilization will be carried out in 28 zonal areas.
The membership of the zonal teams will include, among others, you, our dear colleagues, the MPs from those zones, at least a media personality, the LCs, the LC5s, the chairpersons of zones, the NRM chairman, the resource, the RPCs, the RDCs, and the rest.
This caucus meeting is convened following the NRM caucus rules of procedure. The chairperson of the NRM MPs caucus, Honorable Hamson Obua, informed the members of parliament about the president's scheduled country-wide tour. He asked the members of parliament to be present in their respective districts to meet the president.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, honorable colleagues, for the solidarity we have so far demonstrated in Parliament. I want to thank specifically the honorable members of the NRM caucus, those who are members of the different committees, and those in leadership.
The members of parliament said such caucus meetings will help to bridge the information and communication gaps between the government, the NRM Secretariat and the grassroots on party issues and manifesto implementation matters.
But we also have a challenge that the structural election program has not been communicated.
Permit me to thank the NRM government for finally being at 99% of delivering industrially reliable electricity to West Nile.
Prime Minister Robin Nabbanja appreciated the support from NRM members of parliament towards government. As leader of government business in parliament, she enumerated a number of milestones so far registered.
Allow me to thank you, honorable members of the 11th parliament, for the support you have given our government and you yourselves for what we have so far done in parliament.
The Prime Minister also rallied the members of parliament to support the NAM and G77 summit due to take place in January next year.
I am going to inform the President of all your concerns that you have brought to the table. By tomorrow, you will have all of this.
A study conducted by the NRM Secretariat last year revealed some political, social and economic concerns that need to be addressed urgently. The meeting was also attended by NRM-leaning independent members of parliament. Doreen Nasasira reporting for UBC News.
Prime Minister Robin Nabbanja has described the country's trade with the East African region members as one in a sound upward trajectory. Nabbanja's allaying of Uganda's fears came at a time in the wake of demonstrations that have recently rocked the neighboring country, Kenya. She says, whereas the trade was to some extent interrupted, the flow of goods and services continues to be smooth. Nabbanja was addressing Parliament this Thursday afternoon.
The joint security agencies of Uganda continue to closely monitor our borderline with Kenya from Busia, Tororo up to Karamoja areas to purposely protect our communities along the borderline and counter any spillover effects that could arise from the violent demonstrations. As a result, comprehensive deployments along the borderline have been put in place. The government of Uganda, Right Honorable Speaker, would like to reassure the public that all residents along the border are safe and secure. Let me go to energy. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Energy is in close contact with our counterparts in Kenya to ensure that uninterrupted flow of petroleum products. Access to trade. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Government of the Republic of Uganda is working closely, like I've already told you, with our Kenyan counterparts to ensure that roads, railway and sea routes remain open and secure to facilitate uninterrupted movement of goods. Below is my observation. Honorable Speaker, from the above data, it is very clear that for the days of 13th, 20th, and 27th March 2023, when the traffic fell due to demonstrations, the traffic flow of goods and general trade immediately picks up the following days in both Busia and Malaba entry points. The disruptions by demonstrations notwithstanding, our trade and traffic flow remain stable, and there is absolutely no need to panic. Our economy still remains on course to collect its revenue from imports and the general trade as programmed.
Prime Minister Right Honorable Robin Nabbanja addressing Parliament just a few hours ago in the afternoon. Still in Parliament, the Speaker, Anita Among, has tasked the Ministry of Education and Sports to present an accountability report on Uganda's expenditure in Egypt and the development of Mandela National Stadium. The issue arose from a matter of national importance raised by an MP on why Uganda had to hire a stadium in Egypt, a game which had been planned to be hosted at the Mandela National Stadium, Nambole.
It's very embarrassing and shaming, Right Honourable Speaker, to see a team of Uganda hosting from a country which is even above East Africa. In Egypt, Right Honourable Speaker.
A total of 97 billion was appropriated by Parliament for the facelift of Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, in preparation for the 2023 CAF Games. Out of the 97 billion appropriated, a total of 81 billion was released to aid UPDF Engineering Brigade to handle works at the stadium.
The stadium where we hosted our Uganda-Tanzania game in Egypt was built with 96 Ugandan billion. We gave Nambole 97 billion for rehabilitation.
However, the works at the stadium that had been anticipated to be complete before the start of the CAF Games faced delays. In hosting of the AFCON qualifier matches, Uganda had to meet the cost of hiring a stadium in Egypt to host the games.
You can imagine the embarrassment we are going through, even our younger players.
In this regard, the AFCON qualifier match hosted on March 24th was supposed to be hosted in Uganda, but instead hosted in Egypt because Uganda had no stadium that meets CAF standards. A section of members of Parliament deemed this as an embarrassment to the country and wastage of funds meant to aid development of other stadia.
81 billion was received by the Ministry of Education and Sports, and that is the money as of now which is carrying out works.
According to the State Minister for Sports, Peter Ogwang, a rehabilitation of Nambole Stadium by the UPDF Engineering Brigade is progressing well in compliance with the CAF requirements and will be complete by June 2023.
We are going to work hard to try as much as possible to have our next game, which is a home game, scheduled for 12th of June, be played at Nambole.
In 2018, CAF disqualified all Uganda stadia from hosting high-level games because none of the available stadia was found to meet the required standards to host such games. It's worth recalling that Parliament on several occasions appropriated funds for construction of stadia, including Nachivubo Stadium, Mandela National Stadium, Philip Omondi Stadium, among others.
Report: the three stadiums are not fit for any game, any serious game in an international game. This was 2018, so my concern between 2018 and today, government should have done something. So
90 billion was appropriated for construction of Nachivubo Stadium in 2018, 97 billion for renovation of Mandela National Stadium, design works done for Peche Stadium, among others. Others include Masaka Recreational Stadium, Fort Portal Stadium, John Akibua Stadium, and Buhinga Stadium. According to Minister Amos Lugolobi, the donors that had promised to fund construction of two stadiums lost interest in the project.
The Chinese government had shifted the priorities and they are no longer going to be able to fund the Akibua and Buhinga Stadium.
Speaker of Parliament Anita Among has tasked the ministry to present all necessary accountability of the 81 billion received for the construction of Mandela Stadium and the expenditure during the CAF Games in Egypt. She has also tasked the ministry to present all the contractual arrangements and necessary expenditure of all stadia across the country.
Tell us a reason why we should not hold you people accountable for a nugatory expenditure of paying money to play a game in Egypt.
A team of 5 members has been instituted to inspect works at Mandela National Stadium. Rehabilitation of Mandela National Stadium is ongoing by the Engineering Brigade under supervision of Engineer Lieutenant Peter Kidemuka. Susan Naung and Gloria Guitabinji reporting for UBC TV.
Health development partners want government to review resource allocation to the Ministry of Health for the financial year 2023-24. The budget framework paper indicates that the Health Ministry has been allocated 6.5% of the national budget, representing a 12% reduction in comparison to the 2022-2023 allocation.
Ministry of Health has held its 28th Annual Health Sector Performance Review for the financial year 2021-2022. The review is running on the theme Reinvigorating Health Promotion and Disease Prevention for Universal Health Coverage through a multi-sectoral approach. The annual Health Sector Performance Review attracted the participation of the health development partners who raised concern about the inadequate funds allocated to the Ministry of Health.
Given the changing global economic outlook due to the COVID-19 and the disruptions in global trade caused by the Russia-Ukraine war, the need to increase domestic resource allocation to key national social services, especially primary health care, cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, the DHPs, the Health Development Partners, request that the Ministry of Health advocates and lobbies Ministry of Finance and the Uganda Parliament to consider marginal increases in the allocation to the health sector for the financial year 2023-2024 to at least 15% as per the Abuja target.
We may have achieved a lot, but we only compare Uganda to the gold standard. And that we can achieve if we put all our efforts together. As the health sector deliberates on strategies and priorities for this year, let me reiterate WHO's commitments, development partners' commitment, and all sectors' commitment to Uganda in strengthening a multi-sectoral action needed to ensure the health system is resilient and meets the health needs of Ugandans.
The Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, points out that epidemics and non-communicable diseases are further straining the health sector and emphasized preventive health promotion.
Despite the reduction in the number and severity of COVID-19, we are still getting new infections. Perhaps many of you think or you assume that COVID-19 is gone. It is not gone. There are still cases. The COVID-19 vaccination coverage for second dose was 56% for the target population by the end of June 2022. I would like to inform all of you that we still have adequate quantities of the vaccine. And I therefore appeal to you to inform and encourage the population to access vaccines from the routine immunization sites.
The private sector commended government for the strides made in the health sector, but called for more efforts to seal the existing constraints.
We've reduced maternal death, we've reduced people dying of HIV, we've reduced new infections. However, we are seeing an increase, an upsurge in, for example, malaria. We are seeing also growing vulnerability to epidemics by virtue of our location as a country, and also the increase in non-communicable diseases. And all these call for more of preventive measures.
Uganda is striving to increase universal health coverage from the current 44% to 65% by the year 2030. Universal health coverage means access to key health services for all at an affordable cost. Adia Nakute, UBC.
Still to do with Ministry of Health, the ministry wants government to put a law that will regulate blood transfusion in the country. This law is to help address the issues of blood inadequacy. Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, showed the need for a blood transfusion policy to ensure that enough blood is collected. This was at the launch of the 11th International Congress of African Society for Blood Transfusion, to be held on the 4th of April next year in Kampala.
This needs 450,000 units of blood to address blood inadequacy. However, it collects 300,000 units of blood annually, a figure way less than the required amount.
5 years ago, we were collecting about 250,000 units of blood
think now we are over 300, I think 330 units of blood in a year. Still short of the WHO requirement. If we estimate our population to be 45 million, we should be collecting about 450. We are still short, but at least there is progress going on.
To hit the minimum units of blood needed, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, Minister for Health, says there is need for a law to regulate blood in Uganda.
But we need a law. Some of them are here. We need a law to regulate blood in this country. We put it in the tissue transplant bill, which will soon be signed into an act, but we saw it could not fit there. It needs its own law.
So many unanswered questions that need to be answered by this law, like making sure that there is no sale of blood, like making sure that UBTS is a stand autonomous organization, like making sure that UBTS can do income-generating activities.
Acheng also revealed how the law will be of importance.
What can we do to address the issue of stopping the sale of blood? Blood is life. It is life. I know national water says water is life. It is also life, but blood is life. So if we can't sell life, why do we sell blood? For me, I need you to help me address some of those very challenging areas.
Former Secretary General, African Society for Blood Transfusion, Professor Isaac Kaija, decried the need for government to support the move.
The problem of derangement of the supply chain because of the wars and because of the pandemic. The supply chain has affected our services.
But everything that is done should be streamlined. Where should it be done? How should it be done? Where should we do it? The one who does it, what should he?
Ministry of Health and the Uganda Transfusion Service aim at constructing multiple blood banks in all referral hospitals around the country. Irene Faith Nantongo, Robert Katamba, UBC News.
Uganda Revenue Authority officials have today had a cordial meeting with the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation UBC senior management staff on issues pertaining to remittance, debt, interests and compliance. Dr. Peter Kagwa, that is UBC's Director for Finance, is optimistic that the meeting with URA led by Sarah Chelangat, the Commissioner Domestic Tax, will help tackle the public broadcasters' debt woes.
Yeah, UBC, like any other government MDA that generates revenue out of the services that they provide, interacts with different suppliers, and in their interaction, definitely the tax comes in, VAT, withholding tax, pay as you earn from their salaries. So they are one of our taxpayers in one way or another, and because of this, it's important that they also understand the compliance requirements and how this compliance speaks into their business and the timing of some of these. And it was a cordial meeting because there are some tax issues that get clarified in such interactions, and all this enhance compliance.
So this is historical, that we are discussing the problems of taxes with UBC that actually accumulated from Radio Uganda and UTV time, and the liabilities have been accumulating to date. Currently, the President has directed that actually the taxes for UBC or the debt portfolio for UBC be taken over by government and others be completely scrapped. So today we had a meeting which was a familiarization tour by a delegation from URA to UBC to discuss the details and issues about our date with URA.
This is part of the collaboration that we have as government agencies to learn from each other and how best we can work together as government agencies to foster development of this country. It has been exciting. The place has really changed. There is some good thing here being done, and we are happy to build this country together through media, through tax collection, tax education, etc. Thank you.
We have been in position to say that now our staff from UBC and URA discuss and resolve and itemize the figures for tax. Of course, identifying what is the penalty, interest, and the principal amount. So when they finish that, both for withholding, VAT, and the payee, we shall be in position to meet again and determine the exact figures that actually URA is saying that it demands from UBC.
Ministry of Internal Affairs officials have revealed the upgrade of polycarbonate e-passports before journalists at the media center in Kampala. The new passport will be issued to new applicants, while the old passport shall remain valid until expiry. Ivan Kahwa reports that only ordinary passports have been upgraded.
The paper-based e-passport has been upgraded to polycarbonate high-end security detailed passport. Over 1 million passports of this nature have been printed and produced. Solomon Kawese, a member of the Fourth Estate, is the first recipient of this type of passport.
I went through the normal process, but it was easy until I got this passport. There is no much difficulty as we've been hearing, General.
Ministry of Internal Affairs officials argue that the features on this passport cannot be forged by fraudsters.
E-polycarbonate passports, however, have polycarbonate, which is a tough plastic. The tough plastic layers infused together, leading to a finished material where personal data is engraved inside the deeper layers of the document with laser. So we request the public not to be cheated by conmen and unscrupulous individuals who charge extra or claim to offer much quicker services than our standards. We do not work with agents or third parties.
The available infrastructure in the country is being used to produce these upgraded passports, and all new applicants will be issued with polycarbonate passports.
We have migrated from the paper-based passports to the e-passports, to the polycarbonate passports, but both of them will continue operations until such time as the old ones expire. So there's no need for anybody to come rushing that we need to get the new passports. We're not telling them to change to the new passports. All we're saying is we have a new passport, everybody should be informed.
Key to note is that the cost of the upgraded passport remains the same at $250,000 and $400,000 for ordinary and express respectively. Atoira Maska Joy, UBC.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100 *21 hash or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Glow as you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Tecno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256 GB storage, G88 gaming processor, and a strong battery to last the whole day. Haha, Toakana.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3 GB from Airtel and 100% bonus on weekly and monthly bundles every month for 3 months, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data. The new Spark 10 is available in all selected Tecno shops countrywide. Airtel, the smartphone network in partnership with Tecno. Stop at nothing.
TB kills approximately 30 people daily, and 247 Ugandans fall ill of TB disease every day. TB has killed dreams and families. We all deserve a chance in life to hustle, smile. We all deserve a chance to dream and be the best version of ourselves. It is preventable and curable. Know your status. TB testing, treatment, and all TB-related services are free in all government hospitals and accredited private health centers.
We thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. It's UBC News Tonight. Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has signed a new labour bilateral agreement with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that also provides for a new standard employment contract for domestic workers there. Updating the press on these new developments at the Media Centre in Kampala, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, Betty Amongi, said that this will help domestic workers not to be held in houses of their employers without their wills, since there is a mandatory provision that after working for 2 years, one cannot force the employee to work for them more.
Girls who want to offer services of domestic work in Saudi Arabia can now start applying through different legal labor export companies following the completion of negotiations and signing of a new and revised bilateral agreement between the government of Uganda and that of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The bilateral labor agreement on domestic workers expired on 23rd February 2023, but the one for general workers is still running. Out of the 150,000 Ugandan workers in Saudi Arabia, 120,000 are domestic workers who remit $700 million annually. The new standard employment contract under the agreement prohibits deductions of salary of domestic workers and also provides for mechanisms of protecting their rights.
Many workers have been complaining that they sign a contract, say, to be paid 1 million, but then in the middle they deduct several other costs, including sometimes stating that if you have not worked, then deduction is undertaken in the salary of the domestic worker. We have now prohibited.
The employer in the new agreement is not allowed to transfer a domestic worker to serve in his relatives or friend's home without her consent. There is a mandatory provision of ensuring that domestic workers serve for only 2 years, which Ministry of Labour will use as a mechanism for follow-up and update parents of the workers.
But there are girls there, after their 2 years have elapsed, the employer refuses to release them. Mandatory that the girl must first report either by phone to the Ugandan company that recruited her to say, I'm willing to continue working or I want to come back to Uganda. If the girl says, I want to come back, she comes back. If she accepts that she wants to continue working after the 2 years contract, then the Ugandan company will consent.
Minister of Gender has, however, cautioned those who travel to Arab countries through smuggling that this agreement will not protect them.
Satisfied with the labor dispute settlement mechanism that we have established under this bilateral labor agreement which we signed yesterday, and I want to take this opportunity to advise the potential migrant workers that are traveling abroad for work to now ensure that please travel through a licensed agency, because when you do this, the ministry and the Ugandan embassy in Riyadh will be able to support you.
They have also interlinked the external management information system in Uganda with that of Saudi Arabia for effective follow-up and updates.
Support us in monitoring migrant workers and eliminate manual clearance, because there have been manual clearance that has made some girls to go abroad and you cannot trace them, you cannot track them.
The agreement has also regulated recruitment to ensure it does not affect the people applying for work. I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information, Technology and National Guidance, Amina Zawede, has encouraged Muslims under her ministry to upgrade in the various digital skills available. Zawede made the remarks during an iftar dinner organized by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance under the ministry's agencies.
Muslims of Information, Technology and National Guidance Ministry, together with their sister agencies, have been asked to be transparent, work as teams and value each other as Muslims. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Information, Technology and National Guidance, Amina Zawede, said the meeting was aimed at empowering Muslims under her ministry and develop a spirit of brotherhood.
We should be transparent in whatever we do, especially when with your colleagues at work, when with your fellow Muslims and everybody. Let us be transparent in what we do. The other thing is for us to work as a team. Let us not think that working alone will take us very far, but we have to work as a team for us to make good out of ourselves, for us to create opportunities that will come, you never know from where. But if you have the right act of teamwork, then you will get, you will be able to reach very far.
Zawede asked Muslims to trust each other in whatever they do and believe in themselves, not to be embarrassed of who they are. Zawede urged her staff to acquaint themselves with different technological skills and asked them to work for the hereafter.
Spend less time on sending forwards that are not meaningful and invest in teaching yourself, in upskilling yourself. Use all the opportunities. Sometimes we have training opportunities. When you're called upon, please go for them in order for you to be relevant. It is not that there is any intention behind coming together, but it is an act of togetherness, an act of teamwork, an act of trusting each other and working together for the good of this country. I pray that Allah accepts all our prayers during this Ramadan period, and that I know we always pray for the day we will leave this world and the hereafter, and that the hereafter will be the best for us, and that He grants us all our wishes.
The Minister, Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, Chris Baliomonsi, commended the manner in which Muslims address themselves, ranging from their brotherliness and dress code to their spiritual commitment.
But in all honesty, if you scan through the Christian community, the period of fasting and the Lent season is not as deeply which word should I use, either practiced or observed the way you observe that period of Ramadan. If I make a comparison, a comparison. So I want to appreciate you also for that sense of spirituality, taking the faith seriously. When you are fasting, you are fasting. But some of us at times we forget that we remember that it is fasting.
Aliumunsi urged Muslims to live an exemplary life and thanked them for the services they render and promised support in case of any issues.
Muslims, like I have said, display their faith in the public. By the way you dress, everybody can know this one is a Muslim. And the way you pray, when time for prayer comes, you are not ashamed to say, it's my time to pray, and you pray even when people are seeing you. That's one thing I admire about the Islamic faith. Now, for us Christians, you know, there are many denominations within Christianity. So you may not even know what my faith is, because Christianity is big.
Muslim staff under the ICT Ministry asked for such engagements and not to wait for only Ramadan. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let's take a very short break. On return, we'll have business news tonight.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Buy Jerry con with muscle. Those ones who say go is for you only. Mundava. Best movies I teach you. When I go to the Muscari, because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? It's yes, you. What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refuses to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, Jerry,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako, n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga. Awamu teri kitulema.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
This is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
Their support meant so much to me. And as a teenage girl, I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates, and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and
Experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Business news tonight. Farmers have been advised to use fertilizers and irrigation, especially during droughts, to increase productivity. The Chief Administrative Officer, Uganda District, Kenya-Uganda, says that plants like matoke, among others, matures quickly. Quick maturing crops are doing well in Ankole region because farmers there apply organic fertilizers and cow dung manure.
The Chief Administrative Officer, Uganda District, Kenya-Uganda, advises farmers, especially in Buganda and Busoga regions, to apply organic fertilizers, cow dung manure, and irrigation methods, especially in the drought seasons.
You can have that in a very small area. If you have like 1 acre or even less, you can put there some cows. Then those cows, what comes out as manure, you also put it in Orsuku. So you benefit from the cow milk, and also you sell it, but you benefit from the suku.
The Uganda District Cow was addressing farmers, extension workers from 40 districts across the country in a workshop aimed at implementing farmers' field schools under the micro-scale irrigation program held at National Farmers Leadership Center, Kampiringisa, in PG District. The Principal Engineer, Irrigation and Drainage in the Ministry of Agriculture, Titus Nuwamanya, says this is the third group of extension farmers trained in this program, and over 1,000 have benefited across the country. However, on the issue of some regions where farmers claim soils do not support their crops well, he advised them to emphasize crop rotation and work with extension farmers to test the soils before planting.
Ministry under different programs, we normally support farmers, and we normally distribute some fertilizers through our district's production office, and they'll be knowing which type of fertilizers to use for certain crops. And if farmers want, we normally even encourage using organic fertilizers, which will help.
The Principal, National Farmers Leadership Center, Kampiringisa, in PG District, Okwaja John Bosco, advised the ministry staff to change farmers' mindset from the peasantry levels to commercialization.
That if we transform agriculture, then the lives of people will improve. It is better to be in a state where there is plenty of what? Food to eat. And I want to recognize you as the extension workers, the district engineers, that you are very, very important stakeholders in making us achieve this vision and mission. And all the Ugandans and the people that have come here for training have always stand up to be our what? Our ambassadors.
Sudat Kaye and Fred Kasibante, UBC News.
The Minister for Kampala, Hajat Minta Kabanda, has stressed that government will continue to welcome investors for the transformation of the country. Kabanda made the remarks at the opening of Melin International Hotel in Kampala. She said that the investment will add value to the country as they create employment and attract tourists.
Hotel in Kampala, Minister of Kampala Hajat Minta Kabanda pledged government support and cooperation to genuine investors and looks forward for more.
I'm privileged to be here today as we are opening up this Millennium Hotel. As a Minister for Kampala, this is a great achievement in Kampala, and it's going to offer employment to our youths. So I'm happy for these people, and I've told them to consider Ugandans, the youths in Uganda who are unemployed.
Kabanda assured investors of protection following the launch of China-Uganda Safety and Civilian Cooperation Center. Kabanda asked investors to take advantage of the center to learn and understand the environment in which they operate. The proprietors pledged maximum cooperation and support to the community. Melin International Hotel's objective is to create an opportunity for the country to tap into as a business and hosting center, as well as a source of employment to Ugandans. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
In the world of sport, the Stephen Kiprotich National High Altitude Training Center has been the latest stopover for the National Council of Sports technical team that is on a district sports outreach program. John Barnes Sentamu is alongside the team, and he now tells how the movement is.
Though not at 100%, one can officially say that the long wait to deliver the first phase of the Stephen Kiprotich National High Altitude Training Center in Teriet, Kapchora is over. To Kiprotich, the man in whose honor for exploits at the London Olympics, President Yoweri Museveni made this pledge in 2012, ecstasy is all he has.
Today, it is like a dream come true, and I wish this facility or this region should be called Sports City, because we are doing sports without facilities. Now when the facilities come, then definitely qualifies as a sports city.
Teriet, as this high altitude training center is fondly known, will be delivered in several phases, starting with this first. The first key parameters are the 3-kilometer jogging track, the hostel, the artificial turf field, and the 6-lane athletics track. The center is one of those that National Council of Sports has visited during its district sports outreach of Northern, Northeast, and East Uganda. The outreach aims at, among others, educating about a revitalization of district sports councils that will help facilitate talent identification and development.
The region is giving us their best, and we think that the choice of government to put the National High Altitude Training Center here is spot on. We want to come here to discuss matters that will take us to the next step. We are talking about district prioritizing sports by also giving additional budget to support what central government give. But two, we are looking at how can we collaborate to ensure that we acquire enough land for sports infrastructural development.
The second phase of Teriet will include other sports amenities and administrative offices, with completion of all phases expected to make it world-class. John Barnes Sentamu, UBC News.
John Barnes Sentamu brings us to the end of all we had for you at this particular moment. We thank you so much for watching. Let's catch you at 10 p.m. with another arrangement. For now, we'll give you a room to enjoy the evening more. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa with Elizabeth Nakakon and the whole team. We catch you at 10 p.m. Bye-bye for now.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.